Can you tell me a story about one of the film jobs you did with Rex? Like one of the ones that sticks out in your memory?
Maybe Gifts of an Eagle was a strong one because that was towards uh, one of the earlier times when I first started really getting involved, and he got me doing some important things. Um, we were doing. I was working on sound, and in those days we shot everything on, we recorded everything on either quarter-inch tape, reel to reel, and then transferred to 16 millimeter, which is the same size as the film. And it had little perfs, and you could line up on an editor and sync the two sound and picture up together. So you had it, and there's about that long. You see my hands about that long. It's about 24 frames. That's a second. That's 2 seconds. 2 seconds. Sometimes you just pull out. I need a 3 second shot. It's that long. And we were getting ready to do sound effects, and so in those days you had to, if we had to do, you had to experiment with what would sound like to have say a wing flapping, because we shot all this footage over 18 years of we didn't shoot it actually. Kent Durden did, of his father Ed Durden raising the bird, raising the eagle, and so he didn't have any sound, so we had to reproduce the sound in they call a Foley room, or make the sound. So by maybe putting a broom by a mic with a towel, we just experimented until it sounded just like a wing flap, and then we had to cut those like 2 or 3 frames per flap, in 16, and that's what I was kind of getting involved. It was really a lot of fun, and making the sound, and then doing music, and going down to LA a lot, and working with the labs and 16 millimeter film. It was a great, building sets in the studio was great fun too, and working with Rex on setting these big lights up, because in those days it took a lot more brighter light to expose the film better. Now they just do things available and it looks great, but then you had to have a little more light. So, but you had to make it look realistic, So sometimes the light didn't look as good. I mean, to your eye, but on the camera, the film will look great. But I have it, Brandon.
Can you tell me more about Rex, like how he was as a person,
Oh,
things he used to do, what
yeah,
he wore,
towards the end too. I was doing more with another company that Rex was part of called Golden Coast Films, and I was directing and shooting in 16 films for educational films, anti-smoking films, divorce in young people, how divorce can affect kids as they grow up, And so I interviewed young children and how they were affected by their parents divorcing, that kind of thing, and then reenacted scenes. And so I was involved with setting up the locations and in some case shooting. I had another buddy of mine, Jim O'Keefe, who actually went on the bike trip with me. He would shoot one film, and then I would direct, and the next one he would direct, and I would shoot. We kind of swap. Plus, my buddy Steve Bradfield, who he was another strong part of my life. You met Steve, and we worked on a lot of films together earlier on, and he would kind of help me a lot of learning the business. He was a great guy to work with, fun, and we did. Anyway, the safety films and
but like Rex as a person, what was he like? Like,
oh, he had quite a presence. He was had such a nice. He had a temper, but then he could turn it right around on a dime almost, and be the nicest, sweetest person around. And he really cared about you. And he would always say, that was one of his famous lines, is, the reason I get mad at you guys because I love you. And I wouldn't, if I didn't care about you, I wouldn't get upset with you. He would always say that. And we say, well, I get so mad. He always wondered why he got so upset. But it really I mean, I never got that way. I could never get mad like that. But that was one of the classic things, that he had a temper, and there's very few people there's a couple guys that would try to yell back at him, and I did it because I was kind of a rebel too, and so and sometimes we'd bang heads and get mad, but he always seemed to win, you know. But towards the end, the last year before he died, we actually became friends more, and we talked more, and that was really cool because, you know, for us to get along really well. I mean, he had one thing I never. One of the neat things about Rex, we would always joke about, because no matter what you bring up, whether it be we're talking about a 4-wheel drive or something like that, car, and he says, "Oh, well, helped design the first 4-wheel drive." You know, I mean, he did all these things, and he started a lot of the. He was a pioneer in both still photography and film. He did so much, and so we always joked about what he didn't know. What does he not know about, you know, or what didn't he? He was a sheriff of Estes Park, and he was in. When I first met him, we went skeet shooting, and we went shooting guns, you know, and I never thought I'd see us doing that stuff. And great time, and I loaded my own shells, you know, the 12 gauge, 20 gauge shells with this machine, you know. It was all by manual, you know, and that was great fun. I never got into guns after that much, you know, but and I got into still photography through Rex. He was really good at telling you about composition. You know, he was a great still photographer as well, and explained to me a lot about composition, the rules, you know, and just by doing it. And of course, the best way, of course, he always told me is just to go out and do it. You know, I mean.
Do you remember a time when he like really lost it and it was kind of, I mean, like when it got kind of scary or anything? Do you remember?
Yeah.
Like,
well, we would joke about that stuff that he. Sometimes we thought, well, we should just kind of. Some kids would get yelled at by their parents, or they'd be hit or something, you know. But I sometimes would think, God, you know, sometimes it'd be better if I just got hit, and then I wouldn't have to listen to this anymore. I was so. But yeah, one time, I kind of. This was rightfully so, but he got really mad at. I'm drilling a hole for him underneath the house in a pipe that he told me. This was one thing he would always be so nonchalant about telling you about. Oh, I need you to go down and drill this hole and hook up this water, automatic ice, you know, automatic ice maker. Anyway, I'm going down there, and he tells me which pipe it is, and he says, you know, it's right by the thing. And this was typical of him. He always like really loose, tell you stuff, and you know, thought he was clear, and oh, I got that, yeah, no problem. So I get down there, drill hole, you know, drilling the hole. Okay, good, I got drill, and then I hear this psh, air coming out, and I went, oh, and I put my finger over the hole, and I went, Rex, oh, Rex. He's going, this guy. He always calls guy, yeah, guy, and I said, when I drilled over the hole and I stuck my finger on it. I mean, when I drilled the hole and I went through it and I pulled the drill out and just air came out. What? And he got nuts. Get out of there! And I said, oh, don't let go. And he got everybody out of the house. Everybody was running out in the street, you know. And he ran out to turn off the gas. And he never runs, you know. He never ran. And Jim and Jamie told me they all laughed about it. Just ran, you know, to turn off the gas. And then when I had to hold up my finger on there for the longest time. And he said, what in the hell? Why did you do that, guy? What were you thinking? You know, well, I don't know. You told me what pipe it was. And, no, not that one. You know, and you know, it's like, but that was a pretty horrific time. But other times he got really mad because it was a film thing that I did something wrong, and it wasn't that big a deal. But he always said it's the point, guy. It's the point. It isn't so much that you know put chewing gum somewhere, but it's the idea of it. You know, what if that was a really expensive piece of furniture or whatever, you know, or I don't know. He always made that clear. That it's the point. It was the idea of it. Remember that being that stuck home for a long time.
And did you guys ever go abroad with your filming?
Oh yeah, he took me over to Africa And a lot, this was right out of high school. I mean, Ethiopia, shot 16, and he let me go off on a couple of the sections by myself, because he was kind of high altitude, and he wasn't. He only had one lung. He lost it in the war, World War II, and so he had a hard time with altitudes. And so on the higher stuff in Bali Mountains, and I was able to go up and shoot. And I think Steve Bradfield was on that one too, wasn't he? Maybe he was on another one, and I wasn't on it. But anyway, I shot some pretty nice footage. I had a great time. Felt good about it, you know. Some African. Oh, you froze. Are you frozen? You have a funny look on your face. Anyway, he was really good about letting you try new stuff, and I got nervous, but I was able. He would make you confident enough to be able to do it, and that was cool. Same with the driving thing, he let us, because we were all around Las Canoas. We were driving motorcycles and scooters and bikes up and down Las Canoas all while we were kids, so we learned early on. And there was places to go, around here now with Charlie and even you and Spencer. You didn't have any place to go. Well, why do you need a car? Whereas there, we needed to go downtown, buy stuff, you go over your buddies across. Las Canoas was a long road, and getting to and from school, it was a longer time. It was probably I rode my bike a lot, but it was still took longer to get there.
Could you tell me another, like, just something that you remember specifically from your trip to Kenya? Was it right?
No, Ethiopia.
Ethiopia, sorry.
It's okay.
So,
I went to Tanzania.
Ethiopia.
I went to Ethiopia and Tanzania. Met some really incredible. It was funny because sometimes we go and Rex was like the great white king almost over there, because he's kind of big, and so everybody looked up to him quite a bit. I mean, everybody did over here too, but then over there they did even more. And just remember one time going to this one place. It was getting later in the day, and we had to shoot the next day, but they saw there was quite a few of us, and they said, well, we gotta get some food. So they went out and slaughtered one of the goats who were out there, and just made a big meal for us, and had their local dish, which was the injera and wat, which is really spicy, and it was like just burn your mouth, but it was just tasted so good. But they kind of cooled it off for us tourists, but once in a while they would slip up and give us the real stuff, and it was just like you would just turn blue. I mean, it would just be so hot. And I remember one time you didn't want to stick around too long by the Ngorongoro crater, or out where the animals were, where we were shooting and things. This was in Tanzania, because if you stayed too late, that's when the animals came out. They go to the water hole, and things got really kind of scary then. So back then we were kind of pioneer, or new at it, and sometimes we stay a little late, and we'd be going across, and elephants would be coming around a corner, and they would just turn and just kind of straddle sideways, and you just like they were protecting their young, and because you were like between them and the water hole, and it was just, there were some really scary times there when we just stayed out a little bit too late and should have been back, I mean, we didn't have a good.